Welcome to this explainer. If we take a second to really think about the words that have profoundly shaped the human experience over millennia, there's really one sequence of sentences that just stands head and shoulders above the rest. Think about it. These words have been gently whispered at bedsides in the deep quiet of the night, and they've been literally shouted in the unimaginable terror of foxholes. They've echoed in grand, towering cathedrals across continents, and they've been completely stumbled through by toddlers just learning how to form sentences. They are, quite literally, the most prayed words in human history. We are, of course, talking about the Lord's Prayer, but today I kind of want us to slow down. I really want us to look at this ancient text with entirely fresh eyes.
Because, let's be completely honest with ourselves here, most of us have recited these words way more than we've actually understood them, right? We so often fall into this trap of repeating these ancient phrases almost like a magic spell. It becomes this hollow, hurried ritual we just try to get through before we move on with our day. But Jesus intended something so much deeper than just a memorized recitation. He intended a lived blueprint. He absolutely wasn't handing his followers a script to just read mindlessly. He was handing them a brilliant map of the human soul, specifically designed to bring us into direct, living conversation with our Creator.
So let's actually ground ourselves in the text itself, exactly as it was recorded in Matthew chapter 6. I want you to let this unfold like the opening of a beloved ancient story. Take a breath and just listen to the rhythm of it. In this manner, therefore, pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Those are just incredibly beautiful, resonant words, but what do they practically mean for us in our everyday lives? Well, Jesus drops this prayer right in the middle of his most famous teaching, the Sermon on the Mount. But we have to notice the immediate context here. He specifically warned his listeners against empty, repetitive babbling. He was basically telling them, look, this isn't a performance. It's not about sounding super spiritual or polished to the people around you. Instead, this is the architecture of a healthy soul. It is an intentional, deeply considered sequence. The order of these phrases isn't an accident. It's actually a profound ordering of our internal priorities.
Okay, let's dive into this map. The architecture of this prayer can actually be broken down into 6 distinct movements: relationship, reorientation, surrender, dependence, audit, and protection. Now try to think of these not as some rigid checklist you have to rush through, but rather as 6 gentle stepping stones on a journey that leads our wandering hearts back home. Every single step perfectly prepares us for the next, moving us deeper into trust and clarity.
So, let's look at the very first step, movement 1, the relationship. Now, what's really fascinating about this first movement is the priority it reveals. Before you present any kind of grocery list of requests or, pour out your personal anxieties, your core identity is firmly established. Our Father. You are not just throwing words up at some cold, distant cosmic force. You're talking to a dad who is actually glad to see you. Realizing that completely transforms the entire posture of how you approach everything else that follows in the prayer.
Once that intimate relationship is established, we move right to movement 2, and this brilliantly illustrates the reorientation phase of our soul. The phrase is, hallowed be your name. Now, the word hallowed simply means set apart. This is the awe factor. Before you ask God to do a single thing for you, you pause. You pause as a beloved child standing before sheer majesty. You're acknowledging the breathtaking scale of exactly who you are talking to. You aren't a negotiating partner trying to strike a deal here. You are resting in the presence of the divine.
Which gracefully brings us to movement 3, the surrender. Your kingdom come. Honestly, this is undeniably the hardest line in the entire blueprint. Not my kingdom, not my ego. To pray this sincerely means engaging in the great surrender of our personal agendas. It's the really difficult yet beautiful process of laying down our desperate need for control, letting go of our desire to build our own tiny empires, and actively trusting that God's overarching narrative is just infinitely better than ours.
And it's only after that massive, ego-crushing surrender that we finally arrive at movement 4, the dependence. Give us this day our daily bread. So the absolute crucial point here is that we only ask for stuff halfway through the prayer. And notice exactly what we're asking for: daily bread. It is not a 5-year treasury bond. It's not some ironclad guarantee of lifelong comfort and zero friction. It is just exactly what we need for today. This brilliant design literally forces us to come back tomorrow. It builds a beautiful, daily trust instead of a mindset of anxious hoarding.
Let's move on and see how this builds into movement 5, the audit. Forgive us, as we forgive. This is where the prayer does a really brilliant vertical and horizontal check of the human soul. Jesus intimately ties our spiritual health directly to our relational health. It's a profound reality check, really. You simply cannot breathe in God's immense grace while you're simultaneously holding your breath in bitterness against your neighbor. Your relationship with God and your relationship with others, they're inextricably linked. Finally, we reach movement 6, the protection. Deliver us from the evil one. To wrap up these 6 movements, we really have to highlight this final, humble admission of vulnerability. We're recognizing that we don't just breeze through this world untouched. We are in a very real battle, facing subtle temptations and heavy trials. And quite simply, we need a rescuer. It's a beautifully honest way to end the core of the prayer, fully acknowledging our own profound weakness while leaning entirely on His strength to protect our minds and our hearts.
So, how do we take this ancient blueprint and actually use it today? Instead of just passively reading the verse, let's look at how you can use this prayer as a lived 24-hour framework. Try this. When you say Our Father, actually pause for 30 seconds. Just sit quietly in the reality of that relationship. When you reach Hallowed, speak a truth out loud. Literally tell God one thing you love about His character. At your will, actively surrender control by naming the exact thing you've been stressing over today and consciously letting it go. And at Daily Bread, request only what you genuinely need to get through the next 24 hours.
The disciples once looked at Jesus and asked, "Teach us to pray." And friends, He is still teaching us. This isn't some dead ritual. It's a vital, living conversation. I invite you to use this map home. Pray it with me now, slowly and calmly, not as a recited script, but as the steady rhythm of your own heart. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil. Amen. So the next time you find yourself whispering these ancient words, ask yourself, are you just repeating a script, or are you stepping into the architecture of your own soul?